Now it's time for the Institute of Chemical Biology. Here we have Naoko and James. They are both second-year PhD and the Master Research Health and Disease, so it's their third year here. And hope you enjoy it.
Good morning, everyone. We are here to stand to defend our honor to be a chemical biology student. And I would like to show you what we do and how we achieve and how excellent we are. So I'm Naoko and I'm second year PhD student. And I start with what is chemical biology. So chemical biology is a new concept that spans between chemistry and biology. So it brings a quantitative physical science approach to life sciences to tackle the questions we don't know the answer. For example, the diseases, most of the diseases, we don't know how it happens, how we want to cure. There's so many questions we want to answer. So what is chemical biology CDT? Well, it is to educate a new type of student as opposed to the traditional PhD. So it includes fostering the research and training at the physical and life science interface, also to facilitate knowledge transfer between the different disciplines and from academia to industry. So students usually have multiple supervisors who are specialists in biology, chemistry, or physics. Also develop research ownership, leadership, and management. Moreover, we are encouraged to take a part in different activities outside of the lab, including entrepreneurship competitions and outreach activities to deliver science to the public. Also, today is a very good example. For example, Angela and Pietro are involved in organizing the Festival of Science, and we are a part of organizing team to organize the inter-university conference to bring the science together.
Thanks, Naoko. Yeah, so I'm going to show you this slide here, and we'll try and review the ICB CDT by numbers. I'll come back to this slide a few times, and we'll use it as a sort of central platform, and we'll look at some of the numbers a bit more specifically, in time. The first number I want to allude you to is the one in the top left-hand corner, which is the fact that the ICB CDT was the first CDT established here at Imperial back in 2003, and hence that this our DTC paves the way for all other CDTs here at Imperial. Slightly controversial statement, but there we go. So continuing on, the ICB CDT is very much about multidisciplinary work. So we span across multiple research centres and departments within Imperial and elsewhere within academia and industry as well. We've had 140 students associated with the CDT, of which 70 research groups. And this has given rise to the increase in size of the CDT, increasing by 73% in the last 5 or 6 years. This is all down to the fact that more and more people and more research groups, like I said, within Imperial and outside of Imperial want to get involved. Okay, so this schematic just shows the growth of the CDT. We can see over here in the top left-hand corner, this is an establishment of a multidisciplinary network, whereby each spot represents a supervisor, and each branch or link in between represents a student. Therefore, we see how these networks are developed between students and supervisors. And this kind of network promotes knowledge transfer between students. So if a particular student is working on an application and wants help from another student, they're never too far away from one. Furthermore, no student is an isolated island in this kind of network map. And that means that if they encounter any problems during their PhD, there's always somebody around who will be able to help them through the process. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the IP that the students have acquired through the CDT. We've had 3 student spin-out vehicles currently, and 20 patents have been filed that have been directly related to students' projects within the CDT. Okay, so a great example of this entrepreneurialism and the fact that the ICB CDT is so keen to promote this is the Dragon's Den competition that was held back in 2010 and is due to make a reappearance in 2013. So this competition basically involved getting small groups of students to come up with their own scientific ideas, which they then work with the business school and Imperial Innovations to see whether their scientific idea could be turned into something that could be marketable. They then submitted their written proposals, and from that they were able to patent their own ideas in their own names. From that point, the competition whittled it down to 4 finalist teams, who then competed for £20,000 worth of startup funding from Imperial Innovations. The process that we're talking about here is not just simply a training exercise. We're talking about £20,000 worth of real money. And indeed, the eventual winners of the competition, Anywhere HPLC, and the runners-up from the competition, Kygo, are both registered companies and both still active today. Indeed, Anywhere HPLC were pitching for £500,000 worth of funding from the Wellcome Trust just last week. Okay, I'm just going to show you a short video that just helps to sort of summarise the feedback of this type of competition that's unique to the ICB.
Welcome to the Doctoral Training Centre Den 2010. More of a mouthful than Dragon's Den, but every bit as exciting.
Imperial's Chemical Biology Centre organised a Dragon's Den style competition for PhD students. They had to pitch their business ideas to win £20,000 of development money from Imperial Innovations.
We thought it was an interesting way of actually getting to a new audience and actually finding students with new ideas, encouraging them to be inventive and entrepreneurial. I think the students will benefit from this project because they'll learn about the process of commercialisation, and regardless of whether this idea is the idea that gets to the marketplace, then hopefully their next idea will, and the whole process is a learning process.
When someone from Imperial called me up and said, would I like to help by giving a little bit of dragon flavour to the almost Dragon's Den kind of event they're holding here, I jumped at it. It's always very nice to be involved, and Imperial is clearly one of our best higher education establishments in the nation. One of the things all of the teams are going to have to do is express what problem they're solving in a relatively short amount of time.
I thought this was a remarkable event and a great evening, and it's a real credit to all the teams that have taken place. They've shown ingenuity and immense application of research to the themes that they took forward, and careful consideration of the business case. I think it's a credit to all of them as to how far they've been able to take their ideas into these early phases, and actually I wish them all success.
We'd love to see them in the BBC Dragon's Den, because they've obviously got good ideas, they've thought about it, they know what they're talking about, so they would be very welcome, and I would encourage them to do that.
So like I said, this process is repeating itself in the next couple of months, so yeah, watch out for it.
So coming back to the numbers, I'd like to just highlight some of the remarkable figures we have. So we have 80% of alumni stays in science, so they dedicate their lives to science. So this is very, very remarkable figure, I would say, because currently, considering current climate in science, job hunting is much tougher, and 80% of the graduate stays in science. Also, how do we measure their achievement? Okay, so £63 million were raised off back of the CDT student research, which resulted in 108 publications since 2008. Those publications are out in the top journals, including JACS, Nature Chemistry, Science Signaling, and many other high-impact journals. They present their work very well, and 170 conference presentations were given elsewhere in the world, and up to 10% are given awards and prizes in the context and delivery of their presentations. Also, our alumni continue to do well to get the money to continue multiple research fellowships awarded directly to students. And those stars indicates where students went out to present their work.
Okay, so who are these students that we're talking about? So I've lifted off some mugshots of all the people that are associated with the ICB to date. And the great thing about it, well, sorry, just point out first. There's Nayoko, and there's me. Anyway, but the great thing about the ICB is the fact that everyone knows each other and everyone knows what everyone else is working on. So it is very much a cohort, and I think that's something that really is very unique to the ICB. Okay, so just picking some examples of students' projects and kind of what they're working on, what they've done, and I've kind of come up with this sort of ICB CDT first. So this is the first time something's been done here at Imperial within the ICB CDT. So starting from the top, the first single-cell proteomics experiment was done here, and this just over a decade ago has led to this technology being in clinical trials for a diagnostic device for sexually transmitted diseases. So very relevant for most of the students in the audience, maybe. Another CDT student has validated a potentially new drug target in the Plasmodium parasite that causes malaria, that you'll hear a little bit about after the lunch break. And finally, another CDT student has developed this novel form of two-dimensional infrared spectroscopy that can be used to study protein structural features such as protein-protein interactions or protein small molecule interactions. The list of these examples could go on. So just to summarise, what is the ICB CDT all about, and what has it done for us? Well, it's stimulated the growth of a collaborative network in chemical biology that spans a total of 70 research groups that I mentioned, across 5 industrial collaborations, and a number of UK and overseas universities. And that really is unique not only to the UK but also to the rest of Europe. Secondly, it provides a vibrant training culture and environment that can foster multidisciplinary work, training at the physical and life science interface. Very much a lot of emphasis on entrepreneurialism, as I've shown with the Dragon's Den competition, but also with a number of other initiatives that other CDTs are beginning to pick up on. Training graduates are in very high demand, as Nigel said. 80% are still remaining in science. They're all still getting jobs, which is good. And yeah, this figure in terms of the £63 million follow-up funding that Naoko mentioned. So students are actually being profitable in terms of their projects are leading to follow-on monies coming into the ICB. So it really is showing the signs of a successful establishment. And on that note, I'll say thank you for your attention. Thank you.